Again, what's very important is by you walking them first, you are guiding them that you are leading the family, you are leading the pack. With dogs, again, the reason why I make that eye contact, it's very important, is that I'm seeing that bond of trust and respect.
A happy hello, animal lovers, and welcome to vegetarianism, the noble way of living. Yesterday on our show, we met Mr. James Lesh, a renowned dog whisperer from South Africa, whose rehabilitation programs involve transforming the lives of both dogs and people. And one of his most effective ways of manifesting positive changes is to help canines and their human companions transition to a vegan diet. Today, James will show us a couple of delectable plant-based recipes that can be made and enjoyed by all members of the family, even the furry four-legged ones.
Thank you very much and welcome to my home. It's a very humble kitchen where I enjoy having meals prepared not only for myself but for my guests and dogs. We're going to be doing two dishes today: courgettes and asparagus warm salad with butter beans, and then a Napolitana pasta. And the reason why I chose the pasta was it's something that you can easily get in a restaurant that you can also share with your dog. List of ingredients are as follows. You require your olive oil, your rocket, your parsley, basil, cashew nuts, de-pipped olives, chopped mushrooms, diced tomatoes, frozen peas, butter beans, courgettes, and asparagus. So let's move on to the cooking. I'll take you to the stove and I'll show you actually how we put all these ingredients together, and this whole dish would feed a family of 5 or 6 in under an hour. Because I have a 4-plate stove and I want to get things really efficient and quick, I decided we'll do a couple of things at the same time. So in the far corner here, I have my pasta already going with the water. This will cook for about 20 minutes. Going on in the background here, I'm actually going to have some water boiling, and I'm using my wonderful bamboo steamer. If you have very thick asparagus, you always want to ensure that it's going to take a little bit longer than your frozen peas. So using a double stack system works very effectively to you. First thing we're going to do is we're going to fry up the courgettes. Put a dabble of olive oil or any other oil that you choose, and make sure that's already quite high heated. Slapping it on top, giving it that wonderful seared feeling. You want to get it nicely brown and well seared for the duration of the cooking. In another pot over here, I'm working on the sauce for Napolitana. Again, dribbling some olive oil. You then add the mushrooms. At this point, you can actually start reducing the temperature down to a medium level heat for your mushrooms so they slowly simmer, as well as adding a bit of soy sauce to give additional flavoring and tasting. Everything will always do a bit of a dab. You don't want to overwhelm the flavors for yourself, but also for your dogs. Remember, we're using very rich and raw foods here, so a lot of the flavor is already in the food itself. The next thing we're going to work on is making the pesto sauce. I always recommend having a Vitamix or Blendtec. Put a couple of teaspoons of olive oil, adding your pine nuts and rocket leaves. Now traditionally, pesto when you find in the shop isn't actually vegan because they add cheese. Always make sure that you massage your lemon really well. That helps make it a lot easier when it comes to slicing it and pouring it inside. You can put quite a bit of lemon juice. And the nice thing of being vegan, you get to really build up some great muscles. Because you have to get your hands really involved in cooking the meals. Okay, it's going to get very loud. You have a very, very finely ground pesto sauce in under a minute. Let's check on the rest of our food. So our courgettes, you can see, are getting nice and brown and tender. So once it's done, then we start adding the other ingredients like the butter beans. Also, it's been a couple of minutes now, so the asparagus should be looking pretty good. And I can also add my peas now to have the two of them cooked at the same time. Once you've added the butter beans and the oil's nicely infused in the courgettes, you may start adding some soy sauce to give that bit of extra flavor and color and texture. The advantages with using a canned bean is that you don't have to spend hours soaking and cooking, but if you're more diligent than I am, it's always better to have your own beans. This will work for about a couple of minutes as it simmers there and nicely infuses the heat and flavors into the food. We've now also taken a frying pan and put some sliced Italian bread or ciabatta with a very, very light thin layer of olive oil. This is going to make a fantastic base for the salad. Our peas are nearly done, so we're going to take these off now. You see, giving a wonderful, beautiful color that you can enjoy. Especially with asparagus, it's always good to look through the eye and give a bit of a, if there's a softness and a slight firm touch, then you know it's ready. Next thing we move on to is our Parmesan dressing. Now, traditionally, we always think, oh, cheese, I give up pasta, I can't have Parmesan cheese anymore. It's one of the hardest things to give up. What we do is, in the blender, we just place the cashew nuts, olive oil, soy sauce, salt, pepper, and blend it up, and you get a wonderful, wonderful, very fine coating. We're going to go straight into the Napolitano sauce now. Take your bowl of diced tomatoes, bit of seasoning herbs, just a dash here or there, salt, pepper. So we take our parsley and our basil, throwing everything inside, putting the top on, and if you have a blend, take the special function for sauce and dips. When you are using fresh tomatoes, you do need a bit of tomato paste for the strength and texture and taste. Because the whole tomatoes themselves tend to give it a bit of a more acidic taste. It gives it a bit more of a pinch. And I forgot the sugar. My goodness. Let's redo that again. So our Napolitano sauce is done, which we're going to add to the pasta just now. Now that you have your courgettes and butter beans, we're taking the peas and the asparagus and adding them both to the dish. Again, it's very important here that you don't want to leave it on the frying pan for too long, as we want to keep a lot of those flavors still rich into it. Therefore, cooking different meals separately, you don't end up having a soggy soup kind of dish. The beautiful pesto we have, we add to the drizzle on the top. The great thing with going vegan is that you'll find your lifestyle is actually a lot more affordable, and all these dishes here are not going to break your piggy bank. Because especially when you have, like me, as many dogs I do, you want to find the most nutritional and cost-effective way of feeding them. So this we took off after about a couple of minutes on the stove. What we do now is we would add our wonderful sauce and put them together. Leave on the pan for about 30 minutes to simmer and cook nicely, and you'll have a wonderful pasta dish. As I was finishing off and cut away from the pasta sauce, only at the very end, for the last minute or so, do we then add in the olives so that it don't become overcooked. Preparing the dish, we lay the pasta, the sauce, a bit of garnish on top, and then take as much Parmesan nutting that you're wanting. I generally like to be very generous about it, and also don't forget to add it for your dog friends as well. I always love giving my dogs some pumpkin seeds, walnuts, cashews, you name it, macadamias even, they love it. As long as it's finely ground and they get to absorb it, it's ideal. We have our wonderful seared courgettes with the butter beans, the peas, asparagus, pesto sauce, lightly put on a wonderful bread. Giving for the dogs for best absorption. Because dogs do not have motors like ourselves, you want to put in your Blendtec or Vitamix and liquidize the food with some water. And essentially all your dog's going to do is drink it up like a soup. Whenever you're with the dogs, the best way of feeding them is holding the bowl right by your hips. As you see, I'm not tolerating dogs jumping, screaming, shouting, and I want them to make eye contact with me first. See, if I move the bowl left, they're still making eye contact with me, or right. Hey, up here. Again, the dog that's calm and submissive first gets fed first. Now I warn you, they eat this food extremely quickly. They eat everything under a minute flat. Snacks I love to give my dogs as well are wonderful walnuts. So instead of you having that raw meat or biltong, you can just use this to get your dog's attention and enjoying the snacks. And a firm favorite for any dog is the common banana. Like you and me, having those horrible chewy, toughy things are quite a nuisance in the household, particularly the smell and having the meat products. So one thing I found works very effectively is actually giving your dog a full head of lettuce. So a Chihuahua will eat about 400 grams of mixed raw vegetables a day. Muscular, more powerful breeds like Rottweilers, German Shepherds, they'll consume between 2 and 3 kilos a day of vegetables, and your Bulldogs about 750 grams a day.
You feed your dogs before you sit down to enjoy your meal.
The most important thing is to always walk your dogs first. By you walking them first, you are guiding them that you are leading the family, you are leading the pack. With dogs, again, the reason why I make that eye contact, it's very important, is that I'm seeing that bond of trust and respect. One thing I really love about preparing the food for the dogs and cooking for them and serving it to them is by actually getting your hands involved in your emotion and energy and feeling. They pick up that, they feel that. Where you know, traditionally with dry kibble food, because oily residue and we feel this sort of uncomfortableness with it, we tend to just throw the food in out of convenience and chuck the bowl down for the dog. But as you remember growing up as a child, you felt the love from your mother when she was wonderfully serving that dish for you and putting it on the table, making that eye contact and warmth with you. Thank you very much for being in my kitchen today, and I hope for you to have many more adventures with your recipes by looking at my website, my blog, thedogshaman.com or good-dog.co.za. I'm James Lech, the dog whisperer for Africa, the veg, go green to save the planet.
For more details, please visit www.suprememastertv.com/VEG.